After 7 years of tending to smoldering coals, learning from every mistake, and chasing that perfect balance of smoke and tenderness, I'm here to share everything I've learned about crafting mouth-watering smoked meats. No gimmicks, no shortcuts, just honest experience, hard-earned lessons, and a method that delivers every single time. Whether you're a weekend warrior or a backyard BBQ rookie, get ready to transform your smoking game, step by step. It all begins with the meat. This is your foundation, and you can't build greatness on shaky ground. I always start by choosing cuts with generous marbling, those pockets of fat that melt down and bathe the meat in flavor. Brisket, pork shoulder, and ribs are my staples. When I'm at the butcher, I look for cuts with a creamy layer of fat and even streaks running through the muscle. Don't be tempted to trim away too much fat. That's where the magic happens. The fat not only bastes the meat as it cooks, but it also infuses it with that signature richness you're after. Next comes the seasoning. Here's the thing. You don't need a cabinet full of exotic spices. The classics never go out of style. I reach for kosher salt and cracked black pepper. Nothing fancy, just pure, bold flavor. Sometimes I'll add a dash of garlic powder or smoked paprika if I'm feeling adventurous, but less is often more. The goal is to let the meat shine, letting the smoke and natural juices do most of the talking. Once seasoned, I let the meat sit, at least 2 hours so the salt can work its way in, but overnight is even better. This step is non-negotiable. It's where the flavor starts to build. Let's talk about equipment. You don't need a $2,000 smoker or the latest tech. I've used everything from offset smokers and drums to converted backyard grills. It's not about what you cook on, it's about how you control it. Mastering heat and smoke management is the real secret. A good fire is the heart of great BBQ. I always use seasoned hardwood. Oak, hickory, or pecan are my top choices. They burn clean, provide steady heat, and give that deep, smoky backbone without overpowering the meat. Steer clear of pine or softwoods. They're loaded with resin and will ruin your hard work with bitter, acrid smoke. The phrase low and slow isn't just a catchphrase, it's a philosophy. I keep my smoker rock steady at 225 degrees. This is the sweet spot where fat renders, collagen melts, and smoke gently perfumes every bite. Patience is your most valuable tool. Don't rush it. Good things, great things, take time. While your meat is soaking up that smoke, don't forget about moisture. Every 90 minutes, I spritz the surface with a mix of apple cider vinegar and water. This isn't just for show. It keeps the bark, the flavorful crust, moist, and it layers in a subtle tang that balances the richness of the meat. Now, here's a step that separates the good from the great. Wrapping. Once your bark is set and the internal temperature hits around 160 degrees, it's time to wrap. You can use foil or butcher paper, but I go with paper. It breathes just enough to preserve that beautiful bark while still locking in moisture for a juicy final product. Carefully wrap your meat and return it to the smoker. Let it ride up to an internal temperature of 200 to 203 degrees. This is the zone where connective tissue surrenders and the meat becomes fork tender. But don't get ahead of yourself. The most important step is yet to come. Once it's done, pull the meat from the smoker and let it rest, still wrapped, in a cooler or warm oven for at least an hour. This waiting game is crucial. During resting, juices redistribute and fibers relax, turning your meat from good to unforgettable. The result? A smoke ring that's visible and fragrant, a bark you can tap with your knuckles, and meat that practically dissolves on your tongue. This is the payoff for all your patience and attention to detail. Let's talk precision. Guesswork has no place here. Real pitmasters measure everything. Invest in a reliable digital meat thermometer. Use it to track both the internal temperature of your meat and the ambient temperature of your smoker. Consistent temps mean consistent results. Don't rely on poking, prodding, or old-school intuition. That's a shortcut to disappointment. Every degree matters. Pull your brisket too early and you'll chew for days. Overshoot, and you're left with dry, stringy meat. Take the guesswork out. Let your thermometer be the guide. Once you've nailed the basics, it's time to elevate your flavors. Don't be afraid to experiment and put your own spin on things. Injections are a game changer. For brisket and pork, I'll whip up a simple blend of beef broth, Worcestershire sauce, and minced garlic. Using a meat injector, I'll carefully inject this mixture deep into the muscle before smoking. This adds moisture and a burst of flavor that penetrates every bite. Rubs are another way to customize your profile. Craving sweet heat? Add brown sugar and cayenne to your base rub for ribs or pulled pork. Want a bolder bark? Toss in smoked paprika, ground mustard, or even a hint of espresso powder for depth and color. And don't overlook the power of finishing touches. A light brush of honey glaze on ribs during the last 30 minutes creates a glossy, sticky finish that's irresistible. For brisket, a coffee bourbon mop sauce during the final hour adds complexity and a subtle caramel note that pairs beautifully with the smoke. Remember, every cook is a chance to learn. Take notes, tweak your process, and don't get discouraged by setbacks. BBQ is as much about passion and patience as it is about fire and spice. If you've followed along this far, you're clearly committed to stepping up your BBQ game, and I respect that. Take these techniques, make them your own, and don't be afraid to experiment. The beauty of BBQ is in the journey, not just the destination. Each cook is an opportunity to refine your skills, discover new flavors, and share incredible meals with the people you care about. So fire up that smoker, trust the process, and enjoy the ride. When you taste that first bite, smoky, tender, perfectly seasoned, you'll know it was all worth it. And when you've mastered your own signature style, pass it on. After all, BBQ is meant to be shared. Thanks for being here, for caring about your craft, and for taking the time to do things right. If you've got questions, stories, or your own tips to share, I'd love to hear them. Hit that like button, subscribe for more meat magic, and share this with someone who needs to up their BBQ game.